pediatric hospital in UCLA sags from the weight of all the despair and grim prison unhappiness filling its guts, clinging to its cells, seeping into the mattresses and dreamers and pills. Javier signs in and walks along the hallways of the psych ward and sees Macy approaching slowly. Dear, sad Macy is whiter than ever, almost weightless as she floats and glows in the tranquilized space between them. Her hair is down. It's never looked so soft and white. Her face seems thinner, her eyes bigger and more liquid and light infused, so richly blue, blue from suffering and waiting. There's a pale bruise on her neck. He wonders if the police brutalized her. Did she wave her knife at the trigger-happy cops? If so, she's lucky to be alive. It must be because she's so white and so soft and beautiful. She wears a long white hospital gown, and her sleeves are rolled up enough to show the bandages on both wrists. She doesn't move. It's hard to read her eyes or her expression. He doesn't know how drugged up she is. Around her, there are wounded souls shuffling from moment to moment, caught in the random parentheses of their dementias. Some sleep and try to put words together to make sense of their sleep. Some are so alone they don't cast a shadow, or make a sound, or move the air as they walk from one dull epiphany to the next. They don't know her, he thinks. They don't know the energy of her love, the cadences of her body, the ballads and fugues of her thoughts. Javier and Macy have been having a small, erotic tour de force, painful and playful. It filled them with the sweet and acid joys of living actual life, not a simulation, or a conceit, or a shadow, but the sloppy, multicolored event in a kind of spasm of crude happiness and graceful pointlessness. Now, the shadows are back. Now, as if someone pulled a plug in his body and drained every drop of blood in his system, Javier feels nothing. All his desire for Macy is gone. He feels only mild wonder for this exquisitely sexual woman. In this unmistakable and savage moment, he knows he's fallen out of love with Macy and couldn't make love with her if he tried. How are you? He asks, quiet. How do I look? She whispers so the nurse can't hear. Sexy, right? But guess what, Javi? I don't have on panties. Macy, come on, he says, even quieter. Her smile borders on a smirk. Her eyes are glassy. Her neck is white. The muscles taut. Her pulse is almost visible under the clear skin. You like this place? She asks. I'm making some new friends. That girl there tried to poison her mother because she thought her mother killed her in a previous life. That one claims she can bend rainbows and heal menstrual cramps. Just rub some of her pee and warm soy sauce into your vagina and that does the trick. I want to see if any of her mojo rubs off on me. Could be I'll learn to levitate while I'm here. I'm sorry I didn't come sooner, he says. No, you're relieved. You didn't want to see me, the way I was when they dragged me into this place. They bruised my arms, those fuckers. I think there might be a lawsuit in my future. I could hire your wife to represent me in court. Can we sit someplace? She smiles again. He tries to break the code of these weak, unhappy smiles. He wonders if she's retained a sense of irony, or is that the first thing the drugs kill in you? She places her hand on his shoulder and nudges him toward a door. He and Macy walk out to the rooftop patio. They find a bench and sit. Across the patio is a basketball hoop. No one's playing. He thinks of the basketball scenes in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. There's a ball in the middle of the patio and it's deflated, slashed open like the girl's gashed eyeball in The Andalusian Dog. Macy points to the large wall that surrounds the patio. That's so you don't jump off. I've been wanting to jump off since I got here. I think I'm going to jump off after you leave. If you say things like that, I'm going to have to tell your doctor what you're saying. Oh, don't do that, she answers with the only edge she's shown since he got there. He doesn't know what else to do, so he takes her hand. It's white and cold and weak. He hopes holding her hand will bring the blood rushing back into his heart, but it doesn't. My mother is so disappointed in me, she says. She isn't sure what she's going to do. After this, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep my apartment and stay free of my mom and my ex. I don't even know where my car is or if I left the lights on at home. I miss my little house and the quiet. I miss the jasmine. She looks up. A lost seabird circles them and takes off for the open ocean. Macy watches the bird disappear, nostalgic for freedom. I know this freaks you out, she says, because you can't understand it. You would never do something like this. Maybe that's why I'm so attracted to you. I don't know. She tries a smile. I bet you never want to see me again, and who could blame you? You have 2 kids, and you have to keep them away from shit like this. He kicks a pebble and looks at the empty basketball court and the hoop no one plays with. He wonders if she's serious about jumping from the roof. And drugs and hospitals and drama scare you, and I'm probably keeping you from your wife. I bet you're going home tonight, huh? It's where I live, Macy, he says, his eyes on her white hands. I just want you to know something. I love life. I wasn't trying to kill myself. I would never do that. You have to know it, Poppy. I do know it, he answers, unsure if he just lied. He plays absently with her bloodless fingers. She pouts. She wants to hold him, but lacks the strength. She wonders why he isn't holding her and rescuing her from the mental ward, the IV drips and lack of feeling. Why isn't he making love with her? She doesn't have the strength to cry. Maybe that's good. She has so little will. A cloud circles the distant June sun, the famous gloom that plagues the city every summer. And when they both stop talking, it gets so dark it feels like an eclipse of the sun. I did this to you, he thinks. For what? He lets her hand go and walks her back into the ward and hands her off to a kind-looking nurse with compassionate brown eyes and a seen-too-much smile. Macy turns to look at him. He's never gonna love her. Bringing him so close to death has destroyed his desire and ruined their chances of ever being together. He wonders if she knows this. Can her intuition read the awful pity on his face? He wants to kiss her goodbye, something soft on her cheek and neck, but he isn't able to. He walks out of the building and never comes back. On the street, he's grateful for his freedom. He imagines a scene in which no one believes he's a visitor and he's chained forever in a cell next to Macy's, where he screams and drools and dies. He looks at the tall building, sags and melts in the sun, and he thinks of his home far away. He doesn't know where to go and comes back to the motel room to negotiate for air and space with the wan ghosts of old Hollywood suicides. So the next section is Javier, and he's visiting his parents, Esperanza and Isai, in their little town in Alabama. But Esperanza, in this moment, face to face with her oldest son, won't judge him. It's not her nature or part of the simple math of their relationship. If she's ashamed of his sin, she's not saying it to him as she looks in his eyes. She gives him a quick smile again, sees a couple of gold teeth. Her eyes do that thing eyes don't really do in life, twinkle. She offers him coffee, and Javier looks at the bedroom door, which is partially open, and can't think of Papa right now. Is he awake? He asks her. I don't want to wake him up. If she senses something unkind in his reluctance to walk into the bedroom, she doesn't comment on it. Javier walks into the small bedroom, painted dirty beige like the neighborhoods of Los Angeles. There are yellow hospital smells, an iron bed that dominates the space like a tank, and a folded wheelchair in the corner. There are flowers killed by thirst, and a dozen much-prayed-to Christs and virgins in plastic and paper. There's nothing of actual Puerto Rico in this Alabama room, a few hundred yards from the abundant energy of the army base and all the death planning that happens there. It amazes Javier that so much travel, so much struggle, so many footsteps and hopes and meals consumed and jobs fulfilled and children birthed and buried and prayers whispered and screamed should terminate in a mute and sullen and colorless little room like this.